Okay, this sounds bad, but I swear I'm justified. It's got my whole family torn and I just need some reassurance. I'm a male teen and Jess is my only older sister, 25. I have two older half-brothers, Joey, 27, and Jake, 26. I'm the affair baby, so our relationships aren't exactly great. A few years ago, Jake began dating my babysitter, April, female 27, and the two got engaged last year. A few years back, we got the news that Joey had some fertility issues, and it would be hard for him to have kids. I promise this is relevant. Time skipped to the week of Jake and April's wedding. It's at some fancy hotel, and I was looking around for April and Jake to give them a bottle of wine my dad made me bring. I find their room and knock on the door. There's no reply, so I decide to open the door so I can leave the wine in there without me forgetting. Lo and behold, I find April and Joey doing things. I've never left a room so quickly. Joey and Jake look very different, so I know it's Joey and it was 100% April. I immediately ran to Jess and told her, but she didn't seem surprised. She told me that she'd known for a while and made me promise not to tell Jake, the groom. I was floored. Apparently, when April babysat me when I was young, she was dating Joey. Only Jess knew. Once the word got out that Joey couldn't have any kids, April started dating Jake and tried to get pregnant multiple times. Apparently, she was only with Jake to have a kid with him that's technically related to Joey and then leave him for Joey. I was, again, floored and so shocked. I bottled it in for the practice dinner that night and I couldn't even look April, Joey or Jake in the eye. Jake looked upset, pulled me to the side and asked what was wrong, so I spilled. Jake left that night on their honeymoon early. Jess knew it was my fault and told everyone. I told everyone what was happening and everyone was divided. Joey, Jess, April and my mum's ex-husband are against me, whereas most people agree with what I did. I don't know anymore. I've gotten so many calls and messages from family members shouting at me. I just need an outside opinion, you know? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You did the right thing by your older brother. Far better for him to find out the truth now than later. I hope your relatives aren't unkind to you about it. You weren't in the wrong. That falls to those who were doing the cheating and those who were covering it up. What you did was needed. Imagine the heartbreak Jake would have had if he didn't find out. April left him when pregnant, and then he finds out both Jess and you already knew that was the plan. Don't let them second-guess your decision. You're a good person for letting him know and a good brother. Jess and Joey are crappy siblings, and I hope he cuts them off. My God, what's wrong with people? It's honestly disgusting that the family thinks you're at fault for accidentally witnessing this and doing what a good brother would do. I'm sorry you have to be in the middle of this, but I'd be proud of how you handled this if I were your brother. You're the affair baby, and as a result, your relationship with your siblings is rocky. Yet Joey, Jess, and their bio-dad think you're the idiot for outing your brother for cheating with your other brother's fiancée? Not to mention that April is trying to have an affair baby too. Obvious, not the idiot. You save your half-brother a lot of time from being wasted with that girl. Pretty sure I was an idiot here, but we'll see. So I, female 30, am 8 months pregnant. I take public transport to work daily. I'm always exhausted because I must work extra time to afford necessities. I take the bus to work every day and often it's packed, but I get lucky enough when decent folks volunteer their seats for me. Now, I should mention that I don't use my pregnancy as an excuse to get what I want, but people just offer me their places by themselves, which is kind and sweet. Wednesday, I got on the bus like usual, but this time there's one empty seat. I go to sit, but I find a guy in his business attire sitting there with his hand on the empty seat, sort of like resting it. I say excuse me and ask him to remove his hand so I could sit, but he tells me the seat was taken. I ask by who, and he says his hand. Not gonna lie, I laughed a little but wasn't feeling well, so I asked him to remove it so I could sit, but he refused again and folks started staring. Finally, I tell him I'm tired and need to sit, and he replies, saying my pregnancy isn't his problem. I had enough at this point, my legs were burning and my back was hurting, so I sat on his hand. He freaks out and tries to remove it quickly while shouting at me. He then starts arguing about how disrespectful I was to do this inappropriate thing, and in public no less. I argue back, but then he gets off after saying I was being inappropriate and disrespectful. Everyone stares at me and I just sit there feeling ashamed about what happened. I tell my husband about this incident and he WTF'd the entire time, then says that I did indeed act inappropriately and shouldn't have made this guy uncomfortable by sitting on his hand like that. He tells me I messed up and this was totally inappropriate despite me saying I was so tired of standing and was in desperate need to sit down. Am I the idiot? Though I can't believe you stole the seat from his only lover, Miss Hand. Seats are for butts, not hands, and if you don't want a butt on your hand, keep it on your own seat. I 100% would have done exactly as you did. Seriously, what did he expect? My first thought as a woman who is 7 months pregnant myself and extremely petty was that he's lucky you didn't pee on his hand and claim your water broke. He wanted to go low. You should have taken it to the floor. Not the idiot, OP. Frankly, I'm kind of surprised more people didn't publicly shame him for being stupid while he was doing it. But you handled it well on your own. I hate to break it to you, but your husband has his priorities mixed up. He should be backing you up, not siding against you. The fact that he thinks that this guy's hand gets a seat to itself is seriously messed up. Not saying you should call your husband out over this if you don't want to, but I'd stick to your guns if it comes up again. When I was in my 20s, 30s and 40s, I used the public bus system every day, and I know this kind of rider. Sometimes they're snobs whose car is in the shop, and they're horrified that they have to deal with a, gasp, stranger sitting next to them, or they're touch-phobic, or they think I call dibs on 2 seats should be honoured on a crowded bus. Good on you for sitting right down and not letting him get away with hogging 2 seats. Everybody on that bus was on your side. Last week I had a group presentation, and after we finished, my teammates and I decided to go out for lunch. Then one of them asked if one of her friends could come with us. We're all international students, so we're waiting for her friend. She shows up and we go to eat at this restaurant near campus. During lunch, she gets a call from her mum. She starts speaking on the phone in French. At first, it was normal stuff. Then it became, these people brought me to this restaurant and I hate the food. This place isn't even nice. Why did they come here? And these people are so boring, etc. I was very uncomfortable by the end of it. Afterward, I told my teammate, the girl's friend, about what was said. She was angry and apologized to me and told me this wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Apparently, they usually speak to each other in Arabic, but her friend switches to French if she wants to say something to someone that she doesn't want my teammate to know about. Later that night, I got a bunch of DM requests from my teammate's friend. She was like, it was rude of me to sit there and listen to her private conversation, and I should have excused myself and gone somewhere else. Then, you lied to me about where you're from. You made me think I could have a private conversation around you. Okay, so my dad is Korean and my mum is Swiss. We talked about this over lunch. She asked me what part of Switzerland my family's from. I said my mum's family is from around Zurich. Because of this, she thought I could only speak German. This is how I lied about where I'm from. She told me that she'd apologize for the things she said if I acknowledged I've purposely deceived her. I just ignored her after that. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If she wanted a private conversation, she should have excused herself and had the conversation outside. Besides, you should never assume that nobody knows your language just because it isn't the language of the locals. What if you didn't have a French-speaking parent, but you'd spent every single summer or winter in France and spoke French fluently? Should you disclose that when you sit down with someone new? No. She got caught out and didn't think she would be. She's the rude one. She's trying to deflect her abhorrent behaviour onto you. Let her know that her bad manners about talking badly about other people right in front of their faces are her issue. You answer questions truthfully. It's her fault for assuming. And tell her she's just trying to weasel out from taking responsibility for her bad behaviour, and you're not having it. Everyone's the idiot here. You didn't try to deceive her intentionally, and you don't have to apologise to her for being there and listening. However, I don't think you should have relayed what she said to her friend. She didn't particularly say mean things about your friend, just about the food and that she was bored. She's entitled to her opinions. No doubt she has poor manners, but your tattling that to her friend was like stirring the pot. My husband, 34, and I, 35 female, have been separated for 2 years. We have 2 kids, pre-tween female, younger male, that I have custody of due to their father's chronic illness that's gotten worse before the divorce. He gets visitation. Sometimes he sees them when he's at the hospital, and although we agree, his mom is always there trying to stir drama. The day before my sister's engagement party took place, my ex-husband called telling me he wanted me to bring the kids to spend some time before his surgery. He explained needing to see them before the surgery for A, support, and B, he misses them and might not be able to see them for weeks. I asked what day he wanted and he said tomorrow. I said, sorry, but the kids were going to attend their aunt's engagement party, which is 2 hours away from town. He said this was the only day he could see them before his surgery and kept pressing me to bring them to him because the party wasn't necessary, not like it was a wedding. I said their aunt wanted them there, and he argued that I should understand that he was worried and needed to see the kids and get some peace of mind. I got mad and told him off after he raised his voice at me. I promised I'll have the kids see him once he's out of surgery, but he hung on me after ranting about how I didn't understand his position. I had the kids call him and then we went to the party. After I got back, my former mother-in-law came at me, calling me unhinged and claiming I'd been purposely keeping her son from his children, in his most vulnerable time. I told her about my compromise, but she responded by saying that her son got an infection and has to spend 5+ days in the ICU, so she's blaming me for him not seeing the kids for this long even though the infection wasn't predicted. She yelled I could have let the kids spend the day with their dad instead of taking them to the engagement party where they were miserable. She accused me of using the kids to get back at her son. That's when I cut the argument. My sister said this woman is the one unhinged, but Dad said I made a mistake and should have let the kids stay with their dad before his surgery since medical problems occur unexpectedly, and so my promise to have the kids see him right after surgery wasn't valid, but it didn't occur to me. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Of course the infection wasn't planned, but that's why he wanted to see his kids before the surgery, in case anything unplanned happened, which would mean he would be in the hospital for longer. Things go wrong with surgeries all the time. It was reasonable for your ex to want to see his kids before the surgery, and it's not his fault for being unable to magically plan for a specific infection. This is their father. He's going into surgery. He may not come out, and this may be partly why he wants to see his kids before the surgery. Complications arise, and death can occur even for small surgeries. I think this trumps a party since it's serious. Did you ask your kids what they wanted? Ex-mother-in-law was out of line and should have butted out. I agree, but I think the ex-mother-in-law should have taken the kids to the father and returned them instead of expecting the mother to do it. Their kids could hate her indefinitely if something happened to him. There should have been a compromise with his family. Absolutely not. This opens up a whole can of worms that the OP probably doesn't want opened at all. Next, the mother-in-law will start pushing that she took the kids to see him once. Why can't she do it again, regardless of the frequency in between visits? Plus, mother-in-law doesn't have any say in their relationship before or after the two are divorced. A relationship is between the people in it, not on the sidelines. Who cares about an engagement party? Not your little kids. Stop using your kids as a weapon to punish your ex. You have custody because he's chronically ill. The fact that you're using that control to exert power over the father of your children, especially right before a major surgery that resulted in complications, is so disgusting. Your ex-mother-in-law isn't unhinged. She's right. What you did is appalling. My son, Bruno, and his best friend, May, have been friends since they were 5 months old. May kept crawling over to grab him, and 4 years later they're still the best of friends. May's mum, Kate, is a single mum who my wife and I have grown very close to because of our son. May's father, Ross, is a former deadbeat. From what I know about him, he's always wanted nothing to do with May and Kate, and was happy just sending monthly checks to her mail. Over the past year, he's, supposedly, apologised to Kate and stated that he's wanted to become a more present father in her life. He's been coming around more often, sometimes with his fiancée. From what I can tell, and what I've heard from Kate, Ross is trying hard to be a good parent. He's missed a huge part of May's life and seems like he's trying to rectify that. However, he's a bit of a helicopter parent and seems too overcautious. He also doesn't like how close May is to us. For the most part, I can brush off his comments and his overcautiousness for the sake of May and Bruno's friendship. This past weekend, May was over at our house for a play date, and my wife fainted in the kitchen. She was holding a glass of water and she's all right now, don't worry. May was the one who called me from my office, and from there we went to the hospital. Once we got there, I called Kate to come to pick up May from the hospital, and because she was busy, Ross and his fiancée, soon-to-be wife, came to pick May up. 2 days later, the day my wife was discharged, Ross sent me a lengthy text message, wishing my wife a quick recovery but asking my wife and me to apologise for the trauma we gave May over the weekend. She saw my wife on the floor and had to come to get me. I apologised on behalf of my wife and told him to thank May for helping me that day. I essentially said, I'm sorry that she had to see that, not for my wife's actions. This wasn't enough for Ross. Ross wrote back another series of text messages telling me that my wife and I should apologise properly in front of him and his family and apologise for my wife's actions, and that we should cut all contact with May to protect her. I refused because I thought he was being a little unnecessary. This has caused a bit of drama and led to nasty calls and text messages from Ross and his fiancée. Kate doesn't agree with him and especially doesn't think that we should cut contact with May. She came to visit my wife with May the other day, but she suggests that we apologise to him to ease his anxieties. My wife fears that this will affect Bruno and May's friendship. Should I apologise? So, Ross knows he's been an absent idiot and has big problems that another man was in his child's life when he wasn't. And now he's being an idiot to you. You are not the idiot, but brace yourself. I doubt this will be the last issue with him. Overprotective? More like controlling and obnoxious. Why the heck should you guys accommodate his needs? Just talk to May and ask her how she felt, if she was fine, and tell her she did a good job helping you. Sorry to say, but if I was Kate, I'd tell Ross to buzz off instead of telling you guys to apologise so that you can ease his anxieties. Stick to your guns, he's not going to be around for long. Apologise for what? The fact that your wife fainted? What in the world? This wasn't intentional. If anything, I'd use this as an opportunity to dissuade any fears May might have by telling her what a hero she is because she knew to come to get you for help and she didn't get scared. How about if May's at school and someone breaks a bone or has a seizure? Are they going to make the children who have a medical emergency apologise as well? This guy's an idiot. I'm glad your wife is okay.